You are listening live to Football Live.
Here is your host, Barry Swain.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a very, very windy afternoon here in the UK. But don't worry, we're still here with Football Live in the heavy winds. John, shut the door.
Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, that's better. Listen, heavy winds won't stop us here on Football Live exclusively to Brila FM. We've got some fantastic football coming your way. We'll be after Crystal Palace to see if Manchester City can make it 2 wins in a week after that run of 7 without a win. Pep Guardiola's team go to Crystal Palace, who were also winners in midweek. We'll be at Villa Park as well. Aston Villa, winners in their game in midweek at home against Brentford. They take on Southampton, who are bottom of the table. The team with the best home record in the division are also the team with the worst away record, so Brentford will be very pleased to know that they are at home this afternoon at the Fortress G-Tech Stadium. Their visitors will be Newcastle United. And we'll keep a close eye on Bayern Munich, top of the league in Germany. They take on Heidenheim, and Real Betis take on the Spanish La Liga leaders Barcelona, who crashed to defeat at home last weekend. That's all coming up right here in the next 2 hours, exclusively for you on Brila FM. This is Football Live.
Live and exclusive to Brila FM, you are tuned in to Football Live.
Yes, what an afternoon we've got for you right here on Football Live. We will get straight around the grounds because the games are kicking off. We've got 3 games in the Premier League. I'm keeping a close eye on Bayern Munich against Heidenheim here from the Allianz Arena. I'll tell you about a goal in that game in a little while as well. And we're also watching Real Betis against Barcelona this afternoon. Barcelona losing at home to Las Palmas last week, who were in the relegation zone. Home defeat for Barcelona. Can they bounce back? Of course, Real Madrid lost to Bilbao in the week. Both the big guns losing in the La Liga title race in the last few days. Let's get off to Selhurst Park first of all. Our man there is Billy Andrews, who's watching Crystal Palace against the champions Manchester City, who got their first win in 7 in midweek. Good afternoon, Billy. Team news and any early exchanges?
Good afternoon, Barry. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a blustery Selhurst Park, where Manchester City make 4 changes from the side that beat Nottingham Forest in midweek, with Nathan Ake and Manuel Akanji missing out after picking up injuries in that game. Rico Lewis and Carl Walker come into the back line, and Josko Vardio is in there as well. Mateus Nunes and Savinho are preferred to Jack Grealish. Kevin De Bruyne starts consecutive games for the first time in a while. Stefan Ortega continues in goal. Phil Foden, John Stones, Kovacic, Rodri and Oscar Bob are still out with injury, so it's Ortega in goal. Carl Walker, Ruben Dias, Vardio and Lewis, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, Savinho, De Bruyne, Mateus Nunes and Erling Haaland up front. 1 change for Palace. Lerma has come in for Czech Doucouré. Palace seeing a lot of the ball in the opening few minutes as they had kick-off, but they've had a good run against Palace. They've scored multiple goals against Pep's City side in 6 games, only bettered by Spurs. So we'll see if that goes. Still 0-0 at Selhurst Park.
Thank you very much, Billy. Let's get across to Aston Villa against Southampton up at Villa Park. A victory in midweek for Aston Villa against Brentford got them back on track after a really poor run. They've gone 6 weeks without a win. You would expect them to win this afternoon at Villa Park against Southampton, but you just never know, do you, Richard Bond? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Barry. Good afternoon, listeners. We're just underway in this match. Aston Villa straight away on the front foot, as you'd expect, against that basement side Southampton. They've made a few changes today with their one look on their crucial Champions League trip to Leipzig in the week. So there's 4 changes. Super sub John Duran's come in to replace Ollie Watkins, who drops to the bench. 3 of the back 4 changed, with Ian Maatsen coming at left back. Pau Torres has also come in at centre half to be partnered by Diego Carlos. Leslie Conser moving across the right hand side. For a really in opposition Southampton, they'll be looking for a much stronger showing after being blown aside by Chelsea in the week. 1 solitary point on their travels this season. Today they brought back 3 players who were banned from the last game, so Taylor Harwood-Bellis, Flynn Downs and Tyler Diblin all come into their lineup. It's going to be a tough one for the Saints today, but they will have hope as Villa have just 1 clean sheet in the last 19 Premier League games. For now though, it's Aston Villa 0, Southampton 0.
If by the off chance you've never heard Football Live before, that sound can mean only one thing, and it means that big size 5 football has hit the back of somebody's net, and it's hit the back of Manchester City's net, let me tell you. It's Crystal Palace 1, Manchester City 0, and it's Munoz with the goal after 4 minutes. He scored in injury time last week to salvage a point for Palace against Newcastle United in a 1-1 draw. Well, he scored early on this time. Let's get to Billy Andrews, who can tell us all about the goal.
And it's not taken long for City to go behind at Selhurst Park, and it's Munoz, the right wing back, with his second ever Palace goal. He got his first goal for Palace on his last appearance at Selhurst, and he slammed home this one. There's a quick VAR check for offside. It's worked out wonderfully to him. It's a fantastic low finish under Stefan Ortega, just on the cusp of offside, but VAR had a check. He's perfectly fine. The green line came up. 4 minutes gone at Selhurst Park. It's Crystal Palace 1, Manchester City 0.
I can confirm that goal has been given. VAR have given it the thumbs up. There hasn't been a goal at Newcastle United in their game away at Brentford this afternoon. Paul James is at the GTEC Stadium. We'll get across to him. Paul can give us the team news and also news of one of these two teams, Brentford and Newcastle, hitting the crossbar already.
Yes, good afternoon everybody. Well, Brentford, unbeaten at home in all competitions all season, have not had a league victory against Newcastle since January the 17th, 1948. They make just 3 changes from the defeat to Aston Villa. Christian Norgard, Thiago and Fabio Carvalho come in. Vitaly Janelt, Kevin Schade and Mikael Damsgaard are relegated to the bench. Newcastle, despite their poor away form, have an excellent record against Brentford. 2.8 goals per game in the last 5 meetings against the Bees. They make 2 changes from the impressive draw against Liverpool. Sandro Tonali and Anthony Gordon make way for Sean Longstaff and Harvey Barnes. Early on here, Sean Longstaff picked the ball up on the edge of the area and struck a shot which emphatically beat Mark Fletkin, but struck against the crossbar. 4 minutes gone here. Brentford 0, Newcastle United 0.
Thank you very much, Paul. Our fourth and final game that we are covering this afternoon is in La Liga in Spain. Real Betis against Barcelona at the Estadio Benito Villamarin. This game is due to kick off in around about 5-10 minutes time, and we've got Richard Freckleton watching this one for us. He can give us all the team news. Good afternoon, Richard.
Good afternoon to you, Barry. Yes, team news has come in, and Real Betis have made just the 2 changes. One in midfield, where Flores comes in for Guerrero, and further up forward, Avila comes in for Rodriguez. With Barcelona, Hansi Flick has just made the one change, and what a change that is. Lewandowski comes back into the team for Torres. They'll be looking very much forward to this game, Barcelona, because they seem to be a bit of a bogey team for Real Betis. I mean, they haven't lost this ground here since 2008, and they're on a running win of 6 wins against Real Betis. So an uphill task for manager Pellegrini.
Thank you very much, Richard. I can tell you it's just finished in Spain. Las Palmas 2, Valladolid 1. A good win that for Las Palmas in that game between 2 sides down towards the bottom of the table. 2 wins in 2 for Las Palmas. We're getting the goals in early in the Premier League this afternoon. There might only be 3 games. We've already got 2 goals and we've only just played 10 minutes or so in these games. Brentford, they're brilliant at home. They're shocking away. Well, they're at home this afternoon and they have taken the lead against Newcastle United. It's 1-0 in that game. Brentford 1, Newcastle 0. Brian Mbeumo with the goal. We'll be across to Paul to hear all about that goal in just a few moments' time. Good goal scorer is Mbeumo, and he's gone and done it again for Brentford this afternoon. Let's get across to Billy Andrews, and a huge save, Billy, from Henderson in the Palace goal. City knocking on the door for a quick response to going behind.
Yeah, City looking to get a quick equaliser, but it's a fantastic save from the former United goalkeeper Dean Henderson. That man Kevin De Bruyne pulling the strings again. He plays a perfectly weighted ball into Erling Haaland, one-on-one with Dean Henderson, and Henderson throws himself towards Haaland and takes the full force of the shot to the side of the head. He was down for a bit to receive some treatment, but Haaland, 2 goals in his last 9 Premier League appearances, 40 shots on goal, only 17 on target. Make that 41 and 18 as Stefan Ortega just loses the ball after a back pass from Josko Gvardiol. Cleared though for City. They're 1-0 at Selhurst Park. City knocking on the door.
Thank you very much, Billy. A cheeky goal in that game. Cheeky goal up at Accrington Stanley. It's been scored for the 10th time this season. Michael Cheek had scored for Bromley, who lead Accrington by a goal to nil. And Accrington have just this second equalised through Ben Wood, his second goal of the season, which is as many as he got last season. Accrington go to Liverpool in the third round of the FA Cup. Bromley go to Newcastle. Got some good draws, those two teams. 1-1 up at Accrington this afternoon. I can tell you in the game that I'm watching here, Bayern Munich against Heidenheim. Bayern Munich, all Bayern Munich pressure early on. Harry Kane missing with a knee injury today, so they've gone with Müller up front. They are leading by a goal to nil. Joshua Kimmich with the corner, and Deo Upamecano up from the back and managing to nod into the corner of the net. They've had plenty of possession, not too many chances, but Bayern Munich, who already look like they're going to be unstoppable at the top of the table, are leading by a goal to nil as Kimmich hits one straight down the middle from 30 yards, and it's moving. Not quite so windy up in Germany as it is here in the UK, but that was moving, and it was tipped over the bar by the goalkeeper. It's another corner at the moment to Bayern Munich, who lead by a goal to nil in that game. Let's get across to hear about that Brian Mbeumo goal for Brentford, and it's Paul James.
Well, it was absolutely an exquisite strike from Mbeumo. One of the best goals you'll see this season. It was a long ball from inside the Brentford half, found Brian Mbeumo on the right corner of the penalty area. He cuts inside, beats three players and strikes it into the top left-hand corner, leaving Nick Pope rooted to the spot. An absolutely stunning strike, and Brentford stunned the Magpies early. It's 1-0 with 9 minutes gone.
Thank you very much, Paul. Celtic have taken the lead against Hibernian in the SPFL. It's only taken the champions 6 minutes to score through Engels. And down at the bottom of League 2, Swindon 1, Fleetwood 0. Fleetwood behind at the county ground against the Swindon side, who are really struggling at the moment. There's been another goal, would you believe it, in the Premier League. Not sure what figure you would put on the head of Alexander Isak as a value of a striker, and they're a rare commodity in the world of football, and he's gone and got another goal this afternoon, and Newcastle have wasted no time getting back level in the game at Brentford. As soon as we leave Paul James, the ball hits the back of the Brentford net. It's Brentford 1, Newcastle 1. We spoke before the game off air, and I said this game has got goals in it. It doesn't take a football expert to actually draw that conclusion. Let me tell you, I was expecting goals. I think most of us were expecting goals. We've not been disappointed because they've only played 11 minutes and already they've got one each, both teams to score. That was always going to happen, wasn't it? We'll go and hear about that goal soon from Paul. And 1-1 in that game. Just keeping an eye on the Bayern Munich game here, in complete control. Every time I look, Bayern Munich in red have got the ball. I haven't seen Heidenheim touch the ball yet, and they've played well over half an hour in that game. So let's get off, shall we, to Billy Andrews, who is at Selhurst Park. Billy, any sign of a Manchester City equaliser?
Well, they've just got a corner as you come to me. It was a shoddy clearance from the goal scorer, Munoz. They had a shot blocked. It was Gundogan from about 30 yards, blocked by Will Hughes, but they're plugging away. There doesn't seem to be a lot of penetration from the balls forward. They seem to be going side to side and backwards and trying to break down this Palace team. That they're playing a back three, but when they're out of possession, it's a back five with the wing backs dropping deep, and it's difficult for City to break through. So they're going to need that bit of magic from Kevin De Bruyne. Oliver Glasner will be happy with how his side have started the opening 13 minutes. The crowd are in full voice as well. So still 1-0 to Palace, 13 minutes.
Thank you very much, Billy. So, Palace on top at the moment. Let's get across to Paul James, who's seen that goal going for Newcastle United, an equaliser for Isak. VAR having a look at this one, Paul?
Well, no, they're not, and I'm very surprised at it. The cross was swung in by Guimaraes, and it was a diving header by Isak, a quality goal from a quality striker. But you can see as the cross comes in here, he looks like he's just strayed forward a little bit. And as it happens, there's no check by VAR at all. Normally that's one that would certainly be looked at. But it is an equaliser for Newcastle. It's 1-1. We've had 12 minutes gone.
Bayern Munich, 11 shots, 4 on target. Heidenheim, no shots, therefore none on target. 85% possession, Bayern Munich. I'm not keeping a forceful look on this game, but every time I look at my screen, Bayern Munich had got the ball, and I've just looked at my screen, and guess what? Bayern Munich had got the ball. That's why they're on 85%. Elsewhere in the Bundesliga this afternoon, Leipzig are ahead in their match away this afternoon. Where are they? They are at Holstein Kiel. Very early goal in that game as well. And what about this one? Bayer Leverkusen. Usually good for a goal, aren't they, Bayer Leverkusen? Plenty of them this afternoon. 2 minutes before half-time, Nathan Teller has just made it 3-0. Former Southampton man, of course, Nathan Teller, Jonathan Tah and Florian Wirtz have also scored this first half. 3-0 up before half-time. Leverkusen against St. Pauli, who are having a bit of a struggle this season, haven't come up from the Bundesliga sway last season. And, that's the way it is there at the moment. Let's get across to Selhurst Park again. Billy Andrews, a chance for Crystal Palace to make it 2-0.
Yeah, they're not resting on this one-goal lead. They're going out and trying to punish Man City. Sloppy play from Kyle Walker yet again in recent weeks. He loses the ball to Abere as a lovely floated ball is just over the head of Jean-Philippe Mateta. He's looking to score in 3 consecutive games against Man City in the Premier League. A feat only matched by Mohamed Salah. So be in good company if he could get a goal today. But 15 minutes gone, Palace pushing Man City 1-0 to the home side.
It's half-time in a game that I'm keeping an eye on. Bayern Munich 1, Heidenheim 0. The only disappointment for Bayern Munich in this first half is the fact that they are only 1-0 up, because really they should be more than 1-0 up against Heidenheim. But it is just 1-0. Keep an eye on that one into the second half. They are off and underway. I can tell you, Real Betis against Barcelona. We'll be across to Richard Freckleton in a short while to hear about how the early exchanges are going in that game. But they need to bounce back, Barcelona. They have let that what seemed to be unassailable lead slip, and last week losing at home to struggling Las Palmas. They need to bounce back today against Real Betis, which is not an easy place to go, by the way. And currently 0-0. We'll get across to hear all about that one. The third Leverkusen goal that I told you about from Nathan Teller was actually disallowed by VAR. They have gone in at half-time. It is only 2-0. Perhaps a lifeline that for St. Pauli in that game. Earlier on in the lunchtime kickoffs in the Championship, Leeds United 2, Derby 0. Leeds pushing towards promotion back to the Premier League after losing in the playoff final last May. Sunderland 2, Stoke 1. What about this for a story? Tom Watson with 2 goals for Sunderland, a 17-year-old who scored twice today, his first 2 senior goals, cancelling out a goal from the 19-year-old Lewis Kumas, who's on loan for Liverpool. His dad, of course, is Jason Kumas, who used to play for Liverpool. And one of those 2 Sunderland goals, Joe Bellingham, brother of you know who. Yes, he's set up one of those goals as well. Another teenager, by the way, Jude Bellingham, of course. Joe Bellingham with the assist for one of those 2 goals. So certainly a day for the teenagers up at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland 2, Stoke 1. Walsall 0. Port Vale 0. Walsall 1. A big game in League 2. It's 9 unbeaten now for Port Vale. 5 away for Walsall, rather. 5 away wins for them as well. Jamal Matt with the only goal of the game in that game. Let's get across to Richard Bond, who is watching the game between Aston Villa and Southampton. We were predicting a home win. Who wouldn't? Richard, it's still 0-0, but they have had a big chance, haven't they, Aston Villa?
Yeah, Aston Villa have been much the brighter of the 2 sides in the first 18 minutes, and they really had a good chance just minutes ago. It was Morgan Rogers who started very brightly. He's had a shot himself hitting the side net, and he played it through John Duran. He's one-on-one with Joe Lumley, but he's done really well to anticipate the chance, come off his line really quickly just to smother the ball and push it wide. Good chance there. Aston Villa on top at the moment. Aston Villa 0, Southampton 0, 18 minutes gone.
Let's get across to the other Richard Freckleton. He is watching Real Betis against Barcelona this afternoon. This game is now underway. Barcelona desperate for a victory to put themselves back on course. They are top of the table. How's the early exchanges looking, Richard?
Yes, Barry, it remains 0-0 between Real Betis and Barcelona, but a bit of drama in the first couple of minutes. A corner from Lo Celso of Real Betis. It was flicked on and a header was cleared just off the line to keep it at 0-0. So they started very well, Real Betis, and they will be hoping to keep this momentum going. But it's 0-0 between the Real Betis and Barcelona.
Top of the table, Wycombe Wanderers in League One in England are leading. I shouldn't say managerless Reading, but Noel Hunt has taken over as the Reading manager. It's 1-0 there. Lubala with the goal. Noel Hunt played played for Reading, then he was the caretaker manager for a while. His record was no wins in 5. It doesn't look like he's going to get a win in 6 now. They're 1-0 down this afternoon at Wickham. Portsmouth, bottom of the Championship, leading Bristol City by a goal to nil. Goal from Bishop, and then Hull City nil, Blackburn Rovers 1. McLaughlin putting through his own net, the man that left Reading to take over at Hull, his first game in charge, and they are behind. Palace, 1 shot on target from the 1 shot that they've had all game. Manchester City, 3 shots, 1 on target. 60% Manchester City possession, but it is 1-0. Right, let's get across to Billy Andrews, who can bring us bang up to date with the game between Manchester City and Crystal Palace.
Yeah, chance apiece for both sides since you last spoke to me. The first one for Man City, it was lovely physical striker play from Erling Haaland to hold off Maxence Lacroix. Played it off to Kevin De Bruyne, who bolted down the left-hand side, and uncharacteristically for the Belgian, got his pass wrong, and it was behind Haaland. He would have been one-on-one with Dean Henderson if he was. Second for Crystal Palace, Gundogan dallies on the ball, and he gets his pocket picked by Jefferson Lermu. Plays it to Ebere Eze, runs down the left-hand side, gets across into the box, but it's blocked by Josko Gvardiol. The resulting corner as well fell to the edge of the box. Jefferson Lerma just blazed it over the bar. So they're not giving City any time to breathe on the ball, Crystal Palace. Still 1-0, 20 minutes.
Live and exclusive to Brila FM. You are tuned in to Football Live.
So we've got so much coming up on Football Live. We're covering everything in England, in Germany, in Italy, in Spain, in Saudi Arabia, in Nigeria. You name it, we've got it covered here on Football Live.
Our fantastic team of reporters will be bringing you all the goals as they go in the biggest games across the footballing world.
We love a bit of drama here on Football Live, and we've plenty of it this afternoon.
Visit the official Football Live website and find out more about the show and the people behind Football Live. Visit www.footballliveshow.uk and follow us on X at FootBLiveShow.
It's an absolute cracker. Fantastic.
Incredible, amazing, unbelievable,
sensational. Fantastic.
This is amazing on Football Live.
Don't forget to join us here on Brila FM for Football Live next Saturday afternoon from 4 o'clock. John Kane will be your presenter. Arsenal and Liverpool both in date match Premier League action. The Gunners entertaining Sean Dyche's Everton at the Emirates Stadium, whilst up at Anfield it's Fulham that are the visitors to the Premier League leaders. Newcastle are also in action. They're at home to Leicester. There's a big game at the bottom too. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Ipswich Town. Both sides desperate for victory. And Harry Kane's Bayern Munich, top of the Bundesliga, go to Borussia Mönchengladbach. That's next Saturday afternoon from 4 o'clock in the afternoon with John Kane on Football Live, right here, exclusive to Brila FM.
Paint the whole world with a rainbow.
Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas from everyone at Football Live.
Merry Christmas.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys. You are listening to Football Live.
Join the corner where the big boys play.
You are listening live to Football Live.
Here is your host, Barry Swain.
It's half-time in the Bundesliga at Bochum at the Vonovia Ruhr Stadium. It's Bochum 0, Werder Bremen 0. There's been a goal at Villa Park. And that means just one thing. There's been a goal in all 3 of our games in the Premier League already. We've only played 24 minutes or so, and the afternoon has got a full sweep. We're not going to have any 0-0 draws, not in the Premier League this afternoon on our show, let me tell you. Villa 1, 0 to the good against Southampton. It's Aston Villa that take the lead in that game, and it's that man John Duran who scores at Villa Park to give the Villa fans something to celebrate. 1-0 up in that game. Just mentioned the own goal for Hull City. Matt McLaughlin never scored for Hull, but he scored this afternoon for Blackburn Rovers through his own net. First game in charge for Ruben Sellers, who quit Reading this week to take over at Hull. Things not getting any better for Hull City. Frankfurt 0, Augsburg 0 at half-time. Frankfurt won 4 out of 4 with a plus 11 goal difference during the month of November. Quite a month it was too, and they are currently 0-0. A good result that would be from Augsburg's point of view if they can get a point away from home. They're halfway there, 0-0 at half-time. OK, let's get across, shall we, to Selhurst Park. Billy Andrews is watching the game between Crystal Palace and Manchester City. Perhaps a headline maker, this one. Palace ahead, City trying their hardest to get back into it, and they've come very, very close.
They have indeed, and Gundogan's rattled the post for Manchester City. It was a ball in from Kevin De Bruyne towards Erling Haaland, but won by Maxence Lacroix. Fell to Gundogan on the edge of the box. He's running onto it, doesn't have to adjust his stride, and volleys it at the inside of his right foot. It's past Dean Henderson. He was going to get nowhere near that ball. Cannoned off the post. It fell to Savinho. Took one touch to shift it onto his left foot and blazed it wide. Eberezieza had a fantastic chance for Palace. Played in by Will Hughes. Skipped past Gvardiol and Ruben Dias. Blocked, and then the flag went up for offside. So it's a very entertaining game. A bit like a basketball match at Selhurst Park. 25 minutes gone. Crystal Palace 1, Man City 0.
Let's get across to Richard Bond, who can tell us all about that Aston Villa goal.
Yes, Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0. John Duran is the man who scored in his first start of the season. And Southampton, really, their own worst enemy. Two centre-halves just kind of colliding together from a long ball from Villa over the top. Duran's just intercepted between them two. Keeper's come out. He doesn't need to do that so quickly, and he's just slotted past him. It's 1-0 to Aston Villa with 24 minutes gone.
Yeah, 5 shots for Aston Villa, 1 on target, which has obviously ended up in the back of the Saints net. Saints themselves with 3 efforts, none on target. Let's get across to Brentford against Newcastle, a game that promised goals, it's delivered goals, and it nearly got another one, Paul James.
Absolutely. Well, Lewis Hall was robbed on the touchline on the right-hand side by Isak. Isak then charged into the penalty area, one-on-one with Flecken. He tries to round Flecken, takes just a little bit too long, and Mark Flecken gets his hand out. You'd have bet your mortgage on it, but you'd have lost it. Brentford followed up with a chance of their own on the edge of the area. Yarmolenko struck a shot just over the crossbar. We've had 24 minutes gone. It's Brentford 1, Newcastle 1.
Lawrence Shanklin has scored for Hearts, who are bottom of the SPFL in Scotland. They're leading Dundee by a goal to nil. Mackenzie Kirk has scored for St Johnstone. This could be a turn up for the books. Aberdeen, who are having a flying season in the SPFL, losing at Pittodrie at home against St Johnstone by a goal to nil. Mackenzie Kirk with the goal. And Richard Dunn has scored for struggling Queen's Park Rangers in the Championship. Norwich flying high towards the playoffs, trailing at Loftus Road by a goal to nil. Let's get back to Billy Andrews, and another chance, Billy, for Crystal Palace.
Oh, it was a golden opportunity. It's another uncharacteristically poor pass from Kevin De Bruyne, intercepted by Will Hughes, who marauders through that midfield for Palace. He skips past Kevin De Bruyne, gives Ruben Dias the eyes and shifts it onto his left. He's got Eze to his left, he's got Mateta in front of him, goes for the shot, just blocked by Josko Gvardiol, and the resulting corner from Eze is poor, cleared by the first man. But Palace really are causing City all sorts of problems, and there's not a lot on the bench for City to change this game other than possibly Grealish and Doku. Scott Carson's on the bench, he's 39, a couple of 19-year-olds who have yet to make a Premier League appearance. An embarrassment of riches at City's disposal, not an embarrassment of riches on the bench. Still 1-0 to Palace, 27 minutes gone.
Let's take a quick look back on all of the action last night. Friday night was a busy night for football in England and around Europe. We'll start in the Championship. High-flying Burnley and Middlesbrough came face-to-face at a windy Turf Moor. Burnley 1, Middlesbrough 1 is how it finished in a match that was heavily affected by the early part of Storm Darragh that's sweeping across England at the moment. In France, Lille extended their unbeaten run to 14. They beat Brest 3-1. Another 2 goals for Jonathan David, his 100th and 101st goal for Lille. And Auxerre 0, Paris Saint-Germain 0. The leaders, Paris Saint-Germain, drawing for the second week in succession. In Germany, Stuttgart come from 2-0 down to beat Union Berlin by 3-2 in a game dominated by goalkeeping errors at both ends. In Italy, Atalanta continued their charge at the top. They beat AC Milan by 2-1 at home, thanks to goals from Charles de Ketelaere and, of course, the Nigerian Ademola Lookman. He scored the winner with just 3 minutes to go. Elsewhere in Italy, Inter Milan 3-1 winners at home against Parma. In the Netherlands, PSV went goal crazy against FC Twente. The Moroccan Ismail Sabari with 2 of those 6 goals for PSV. There was a shock in the FA Youth Cup in England. Preston North End 4, Liverpool 1. Grimsby Town beat West Ham in another shock by 1-0. And finally in Portugal, Braga let a 2-0 lead at home to Estoril slip. It ended up 2-2.
You are listening to Football Live.
Yes, I can tell you there's been a goal in the game between... it's been a goal here, there's been a goal there, there's been a goal everywhere. There's been a goal, let me tell you first of all, for Brentford. They are ahead once again against Newcastle United. It's Brentford 2-1 up against Newcastle United. And Visser with the goal. And I can tell you there's been a goal also in the game between Crystal Palace and Manchester City. Goals coming in thick and fast. Erling Haaland has equalised for Manchester City. It's 1-1 at Selhurst Park. And as I mentioned just a few moments ago, Visser with the goal for Brentford. They lead 2-1 against Newcastle United. Aston Villa elsewhere 1-0 up, as we just heard, thanks to John Duran against bottom club Southampton. The 3 Premier League games this afternoon are not disappointing us. We've already had a grand total of 6 goals. Let's get across and hear about that second Brentford goal from Visser from our reporter here on Football Live, Paul James.
Yes, well, when you don't take your chances, you get punished. I don't know how many times I've said it. Alexander Isak, due to his glaring miss, really, the ball was given away by Lewis Hall, and it was right to Johan Visser. And Visser then just picks the ball up and from all of about 20 yards curls it into the top left-hand corner in a delightful strike. A turn up for the books perhaps, but Brentford 2, Newcastle 1 with 29 minutes gone.
And not to be outdone, Billy Andrews has got a goal to tell us about as well. Crystal Palace held on for a while, but Manchester City struck back. A familiar source as well, Billy.
Familiar source, and it's so simple for Manchester City. It's the first time they've put a ball into the box from the wide positions. Matheus Nunes picks it up on the left-hand side and whips in a dangerous ball with his right foot, an outswinging ball. And he just climbs higher above Mark Gay. Dean Henderson comes to get it when he probably should have stayed on his line. No celebration from Haaland. The team huddled to begin with. Pep Guardiola showed no emotion. 30 minutes gone. It's 1-0 and Palace had a huge chance at the other end. But Petch's shot was blocked and it's sitting down the other end and equalised. 30 minutes gone. It's 1-0 at Selhurst Park.
Whenever Brentford play 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, you know that jingle is going to get good airtime because there's usually a goal or two where they are involved. They've conceded. It's now Brentford 2, Newcastle United 2, and it's a goal for Harvey Barnes. 2-2 in that game. What a game it is too. We'll be across to Paul James to hear all about that goal in just a moment. Instead of rushing our way to West London, let's hike our way over to Spain, shall we? Real Betis against Barcelona. This one's still 0-0. But I think, as Richard Feckerden is just about to tell us, it's not all going Barcelona's way.
It isn't, Barry. My goodness. I mean, since the game started, with 15 minutes are gone, I mean, Real Betis have started like a house on fire, and they may end up regretting the chances that they've missed. As I reported earlier on, Llorente had a good chance that was cleared off the line, and 5 minutes later, then there was a great chance when Zazuli was put through, clear on goal, the Moroccan, but he couldn't convert. A good save from Pina in goal for Barcelona with a strong arm, making himself big. And they're keeping up the momentum, Betis. And they haven't really got out of first scare, Barcelona. But with the quality they've got, you'd expect them to be causing some problems in this game. But so far it remains Real Betis 0, Barcelona 0.
Excellent, thank you very much for that, Richard. Luton Town 1, Swansea City 0. A man of Nigerian descent, Adebayo, has scored for Luton Town. He's got a strike rate in nearly 150 appearances of Luton. He's scored over 40 goals. It's nearly a goal every 3 games. Not bad considering he spent the season in the Premier League last season and they came straight down again. Always good for a goal is Adebayo of Luton Town, Elijah Adebayo. Let's get across to Selhurst Park and, Paul James, every time we come to you, you can give us a goal, can't you?
Oh, it's incredible stuff, it really is, but this is really down to some very poor Brentford defending. The cross came in from Jacob Murphy, down the right-hand side. Harvey Barnes had the freedom of the entire Brentford penalty area. Nobody within 4 or 5 yards of him, and he's able to just bring that ball down, turn and get a shot away and beat Mark Flecken into his right-hand corner. It's 2-2 at the Brentford Community Stadium. Boy, have we got a classic on the go here.
Indeed, yes. 7 goals in our 3 Premier League games this afternoon. What we lack in quantity, we're not lacking in quality, that's for sure, this afternoon right here on Football Live. Brentford 2, Newcastle 2, Crystal Palace 1, Manchester City 1 in our 2 games in London. A little bit further north, it's Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0. We've got Storm Darragh sweeping across the UK at the moment here. Very, very windy, but it's not affecting the quality of football, I'm pleased to say. It's been a very, very entertaining afternoon so far. Right, let's get across to Richard Bond. He is watching the game between Aston Villa and Southampton. Villa on top, leading by a goal to nil. They're creating all the chances, and they should have been 2-0 up, Richard.
Yeah, they've had the better chances. Southampton have done well in possession, to be fair, but they just have no cutting edge, really, as such. Villa, though, come close again, and it's that man again, John Duran. Matson, who's come in on the left-hand side, he's combined with probably the best player in the pitch, Morgan Rogers, on that left-hand flank. He's cut in and found Duran, and he's tried to bend it past the keeper, but it's just gone wide of the post, taking a slight defection off one of the defenders. But Villa looking good so far. Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0, with about 35 minutes gone.
Thank you very much, Richard. A second goal of the afternoon for Lawrence Shanklin has given Hearts a 2-0 lead against Dundee as they look to climb off the bottom of the table in the SPFL in Scotland. Right, let's get to where should we go? I'll tell you what, I can tell you about something happening in the Dutch Eredivisie at the moment in the Netherlands. Go Ahead Eagles 2-0 up on Nijmegen, and they say Nijmegen after just 7 minutes in that game. Go Ahead Eagles 2, Nijmegen 0. I was listening to some of my old commentary clips earlier in my broadcasting career, and one of the games that came up was a Nijmegen game this week, and I commentated on, and they were 3-0 down and down to 8 men. I don't wish that upon them this afternoon, but they are 2-0 down very early on in that game. Let's get back to Selhurst Park, shall we? We heard about the Manchester City equaliser from our very own Billy Andrews. Since then, there has been a chance for Crystal Palace, I think it's fair to say, Billy.
There has, and it was a foul given away by Savinho on Abirezes, causing lots of problems for Manchester City. He picks it up on the left, he picks it up on the right, so they don't really know who's picking him up half the time. And it was a lovely floated ball in by Will Hughes, just over the head of Tyreek Mitchell. It's not really one to watch it go over his head and volley it, but again, it's a fantastic chance, just like the one that went over the head of Mateta earlier on. And I will say, for Manchester City, Rico Lewis looks like he's drowning out there. He's playing in that sort of inverted fullback midfield position. He's being run through by Munoz and Eze and Jefferson Lerma, and Will Hughes is sprinting past him. So something to look at maybe for Pep Guardiola, but they're passing the ball a lot better now, Man City. That goal's woken them up a little bit. 37 minutes gone, all equal at Selhurst Park.
All equal at Selhurst Park, and I'm pleased to say it's all equal in our game that I'm watching in the Bundesliga. And an equaliser for Heidenheim. Peretz has come flying out of his goal for Bayern Munich, and he's made a right mess of it, really. And on comes Matthias Honsack to round him and just put the ball into the empty net, and Heidenheim are level. It's 1-1 in the Bundesliga game between Bayern Munich and Heidenheim. That goal coming just 5 minutes after the restart, so 1-1 in that game. Let's get around our games in the Premier League. We'll go back to Villa Park first of all, I think, and speak to Richard Bond. Aston Villa up against Southampton. Is there any resistance for Southampton? Are they going to make a comeback in this game? Any signs of a comeback?
Well, they're pretty in possession in midfield. They're having a lot of the ball at times, but they just don't seem to have that penetration to get through the Villa defence. They haven't scored a first-half goal in any of their away games this season so far, so that's a bit ominous in itself, really, and just 1 point on the road as well. So it's going to be hard work for them. Villa looking comfortable, even though they've made the changes, and they've still got the likes of Ollie Watkins and that on the bench. So it's going to be hard for them, but just one goal in it at the moment. This still could go anyway. It's Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0 with 5 minutes to half-time.
Excellent. Let's get back to our game at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace against Manchester City. City certainly not having it all their own way in the recent weeks. They did win in midweek. Found themselves behind early on at Palace today. They've got themselves back level. Billy Andrews, what's the latest in this game? Still 1-1?
Still 1-1, and it's interesting. Palace seem to have somewhat of an effect on Manchester City. Even though they're unbeaten in their last 9 appearances against Palace, 7 wins and 2 draws. The last game between the two at the Etihad was a 2-2 draw. So, there's something there when they play Man City. They have this way that Oliver Glasner of breaking them down. They were 2-0 down in that game as well at the Etihad when they came back to draw 2-2. But City having most of the ball now and using it more effectively, switching it from side to side between Mateus Nunes and Savinho. Kevin De Bruyne has started to play a lot better. Palace getting a little bit sloppy, probably wishing for half-time to come, Oliver Glasner, but his side are holding out at the moment. 40 minutes gone, 1-1 at Selhurst Park.
Let's get back to the game in West London, shall we? Paul James is watching Brentford against Newcastle. Any more opportunities for any more goals, Paul?
Well, we nearly had one for Newcastle. Harvey Barnes charging down the left-hand side, cuts into the penalty area. The cross came in to a completely unmarked Jacob Murphy. He just couldn't get his head over the ball, and he ends up heading it over the crossbar from close range. But it's another warning shot fired across the Brentford bow. Newcastle have been getting a lot of chances in the last 10 to 15 minutes. It's still 2-2. We've got 6 minutes to go till half-time.
Excellent. 7 goals in the 3 games that we've got playing in the Premier League this afternoon. We've got 4 games in the Bundesliga, which is half an hour ahead, and they've only produced a total of 5 goals in 5 games. 5 goals in 5 games. Still 0-0 between Bochum and Werder. Still 0-0 between Frankfurt and Augsburg. Bayer Leverkusen 2-0 up still on St. Pauli, and Leipzig still a 0-0 up away at Holstein Kiel at the Holstein Stadion. So that brings us bang up to date with what is happening up and down in the Premier League and in the Bundesliga as well. We've just mentioned that there. And in the NPFL this afternoon, a couple of big games going on. Nasara are bottom of the table. They're playing Lobby Stars, who aren't far above them in the table. 10 minutes to go in that game. Adigoke, with the only goal of the game so far. Kamal Adigoke. That came after just 12 minutes, and they're still holding on there with 10 minutes to go and a chance to climb up the table. If they were to win that game, they would climb up to 14th. They're currently bottom. They will go to 14th in the table. That's how tight it is at the bottom. They go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places, almost into mid-table from the bottom. But they've still got 10 minutes to hold on. Lobby Stars will stay just outside the bottom 3 places if it stays the same. Let's get to Richard Freckleton. He's watching our featured game in Spain and La Liga. It's Real Betis against Barcelona at the Estadio Benito Villamarin. And a shot that's just gone over the crossbar for Malmo.
That's right, Barry. It remains Real Betis 0, Barcelona 0. Olmo, the Barcelona schemer, with a shot from about 30 yards that drifted just over the bar. But Hansi Flick will not be happy with the start that Barcelona have made. They've looked one-paced. They're not getting any joy or service to Lewandowski. Their top scorer has scored 15 goals, and the happier the two managers will definitely be Pellegrini. But he'll be very concerned because they've only scored 16 goals in 15 games, and that has left them having very much a mediocre start to the season. So he'll be hoping that things will change this afternoon, but it still remains Real Betis 0, Barcelona 0.
I did mention a couple of minutes ago, chronic shortage of goals in the Bundesliga, but the featured game in the Bundesliga for us this afternoon is a game that I'm watching here on the monitor in the studio, and I can tell you Bayern Munich are back in the lead in that game. Musiala has just found the back of the net with a crisp finish, one that you would expect him to take. He's a quality player, and he's come up with a goal to give the home side the lead. The leading side in the Bundesliga look for a moment there like they might well be dropping points this afternoon, but Bayern Munich are back ahead thanks to a goal from Jamal Musiala, and it's 2-1 to Bayern Munich in that game. So back on top are the Bundesliga leaders, Bayern Munich leading by 2-1. Let's get to Billy Andrews, who's at Crystal Palace against Manchester City. City were behind, got back level, and they've just had a good chance again, Billy Andrews.
Yeah, but it's that Brazilian Savinho, who's mazy run through the middle of the Crystal Palace midfield, gets it onto his left foot and curls it over the top of Dean Henderson's bar. Lovely play again between Haaland and De Bruyne just now. Again, De Bruyne couldn't quite find the big striker with his pass, but Palace will be sort of begging for half-time. The crisp passes haven't really been coming off in the last 10-15 minutes, and City really are starting to turn up the heat, but no, they've done really well in this first half. Still 1-0 as we approach half-time.
Right, Werder Bremen have taken the lead away at Bochum after 53 minutes in the Bundesliga. Suddenly the goals are starting to go in now. I mentioned the goal drought in the Bundesliga this afternoon. A goal for Werder Bremen away at Bochum, and that's 1-0 to Werder. The goal, I don't think I've got the goal scorer come through yet. Yeah, it's Staj that's scored the goal. So 1-0 to Werder in that game. Let's get around those grounds, shall we? Let's get back to Villa Park. Last time we heard Villa cruising to potentially 3 points against Southampton. Don't think you can ever cruise in the Premier League against anyone at 1-0. But they did cruise the other night against Brentford, that's for sure, Aston Villa. And 6 points out of 6 will certainly put them back on track. Richard Bond, they do look like they're going to be back on track this afternoon, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, they've just blown up for half-time here, so it's Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0, and that one goal from John Duran really making a difference between the two sides. His 5th of the season, making that difference. In a game, not a load of opportunities, but it's a decent flow in football between the two sides. Difference being, Southampton are very much, they play nice football in the kind of middle of the pitch, but there's nothing up top offensively. You know, you can look at maybe the team they've got on show. Maybe perhaps they're just lacking that little bit of Premier League experience and quality, and might have to invest in January if they're going to back Russell Martin, who's still very much under pressure as the manager. As for Villa, they'll be very pleased to be ahead of the break and may look to make further changes with a European game on the horizon in midweek now on Tuesday night against Leipzig. But at half-time here, they're a goal to the good. It's Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0.
So the half-time whistle's just about to blow in the other games. It's blown there, obviously. And half-time, Villa leading Southampton by 1-0. John Duran with the goal. Quick reminder that there is a Premier League game coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. Nottingham Forest are the visitors to Manchester United. We'll hopefully have some team news in the next half an hour or so for that game. That's Manchester United against Nottingham Forest. Forest lost 3-0 at Manchester City just Wednesday night. Returning to Manchester, was it worth going back to Nottingham? Well, they're back in Manchester today. Not too far really from Nottingham to Manchester. They're back in Manchester this afternoon, hoping for a bit more fortune than they got away at City the other night. Right, okay. We've heard about Aston Villa at half-time. We're still deep into stoppage time. Brentford and Crystal Palace. So let's get back off to Spain and Real Betis against Barcelona. Richard Freckleton's watching this one for us. Still 0-0. Barcelona know that these are the games they really need to win if they are to stay ahead of Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. Let's not forget them in the title race.
Yes, Barry, it remains Real Betis 0, Barcelona 0, and I'm very surprised with the start from Barcelona. 30 minutes gone, and it's still 0-0, and you have to remember that the last time the Barcelona played, they won 5-1 against Mallorca after that shock result from last weekend. So far, I mean, they hardly got a shot on goal against this Real Betis team. They certainly haven't tested the goalkeeper so far, and so that will frustrate, obviously, the manager, Mr. Hans Flick. But there's still plenty of time for them to click into gear, and I'm sure there will be goals in this game because traditionally there is. But so far it remains 0-0 between Betis and Barcelona.
Bundesliga's informed side Eintracht Frankfurt have finally broken down Augsburg. 53 minutes on the clock. Eintracht Frankfurt 1. Augsburg 0 is the latest from that match at the Deutsche Bank Park. A goal from from Hugo Ekitike, I should say, to give the home side Frankfurt the lead in that game. Let's get across to Selhurst Park and to Billy Andrews. The half-time whistle has blown between Crystal Palace and Manchester City.
Yeah, 1-1 at half-time at Selhurst Park. Palace got off to a dynamite start after 4 minutes, and Daniel Munoz got his second goal for Palace in as many Selhurst Park appearances. A lovely ball from Will Hughes out to the right-hand side. The wing-back was just onside. The lines were drawn and the green lines came up, and he fired it under Stefan Ortega, who came out to get something on it. Went in between his glove and his leg. Probably should have done better, City's second-choice goalkeeper. And then City really did struggle. Palace had chance after chance of Eze causing all sorts of problems down that left-hand side of the ball, just over the top of Jean-Philippe Mateta, being the clearest one for Palace. Gundogan, after about 19 minutes, rattled the post and Savinho couldn't put the rebound on target, blazed it over the bar. But after half an hour, a ball in from the left by Matheus Nunes found the head of Erling Haaland and into the top left-hand corner it flew. His first goal, his third goal in 9 appearances in the Premier League this season so far. Had a bit of a goal drought, Erling Haaland, but they pushed and pushed and pushed. A couple of decent chances for both sides. Eze causing all sorts of problems, like I said, for Palace. But it finished at half-time, 1-1. Oliver Glasner, the happier of the two managers.
Thank you very much, Billy. So not going the way of Manchester City necessarily this afternoon. Not sure which way this one's going in West London. It's the game between Brentford and Newcastle. One thing that is for sure, there was always going to be goals. And Paul James, you haven't been disappointed, have you?
No, certainly not. It's half-time and it's Brentford 2, Newcastle United 2. It started right from the very beginning, really, when Sean Longstaff struck the woodwork, let us know the sort of game that we was in for. Goals from Brian Mbeumo and Johan Visser for Brentford, amazing goals, both of them. Harvey Barnes and Alexander Isak with the goals for Newcastle. But that's really only half the story. Newcastle really controlled the first half with Harvey Barnes running riot down the left-hand side. Chances for Murphy, Barnes to double his tally, and Bruno Guimaraes, but it's half-time here. It is 2-2 at the G-Tech Community Stadium.
Thank you very much. The 19-year-old Cully has scored for QPR and Loftus Road. They're now leading Norwich by 2 goals to 0. That could be a big 3 points for Queen's Park Rangers this afternoon. Also in West London, just a few miles away from where Paul James has just given us that half-time report. Some big games coming up, of course, tomorrow. A big game this afternoon as well. Manchester United against Nottingham Forest. United looking to bounce back from the defeat away at Arsenal in midweek. Here's Ruben Amorim.
Yeah, and it's hard because it's very competitive, this league, and change all the time with just one result. And sometimes when you are doing progress, you do so much, and then you see it just this kind of result. And we have to pass this phase. So I can feel it the same way. Because before this Arsenal game, you guys were asking about the top 4, and now we return to this position. So nowadays it's like that. You have to manage expectation, and at the same time, when you have a bad result, you have to be calm and continue to do the job that we are doing.
Big game as well last night in the Saudi Pro League. A 91st minute winner from former Spurs man Steven Beinberg, giving Al Ittihad victory over Al Nassr in the big Saudi Pro League match. The win takes Al Ittihad 5 clear of Al Hilal. Karim Benzema, given the home side the lead. Certain Cristiano Ronaldo responding with the equaliser, but now Al Nassr at 11 points behind Al Ittihad and not looking in a very strong position to regain their title. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang scored in the 3-0 win for Al Qadsiya away at struggling Al Khulad. Qadsiya up to 3rd in the table in the action last night. Keeping a close eye on the Bundesliga match between Bayern Munich and Heidenheim here this afternoon. Still 2-1 to Bayern Munich. They look as if they're going to stay at the top of the table. Augsburg have just equalised in the game away at Frankfurt, 1-1 in that game. Time now for a break. We're going to hand you back to the guys in the studio at Brila FM. We'll be back in 5 minutes or so, and back to you for now.
You are listening live to Football Live. why not find out some more about Football Live? Visit our website www.footballliveshow.uk.
Don't forget there are 3 L's in Football Live.
Meet the people behind Football Live and find out more about the show. You can follow Football Live on X at FootBLiveShow. That's FootBLiveShow. You are listening live to Football Live.
Around the grounds, chasing down the goals.
And you could not have scripted this.
What an absolute beauty. VAR, you are in disgrace.
And he's got the goal.
My goodness me, what a strike.
What a finish.
You are tuned in to Football Live.
Okay guys, welcome to the weekly Football Live production meeting. I've got a great idea. We go out and we ask all the top football managers what they think of the show. Let's do this.
Jurgen Klopp, are you a fan of Football Live?
It's super. It's just super. It's really a top.
Mikel Arteta, how good is Football Live?
I've been really impressed.
Pep, Football Live love you, but do you love Football Live?
They are unique and I enjoy a lot.
Sean Dyche, do you listen to Football Live, the greatest football show on earth?
What you're talking about now? They know and I know, and you probably do know, they've made a lot of mistakes along the way.
Okay, so we need to work on Sean Dyche.
It's an absolute cracker. Fantastic.
Incredible, amazing, unbelievable,
sensational.
Fantastic. This is amazing on Football Live.
You can interact on today's show on X at FootBLiveShow. That's FootBLiveShow. That's FootBLiveShow on X. We'd love to hear from you.
It's time to get straight into the action.
When you hear that noise, you know there's been a goal.
With the best reporters in the business.
What an afternoon of football. It's been absolutely fantastic. We've got even more coming up for you.
With the best unrivaled football coverage on the air.
Football Live really is the place to be this afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon everybody. And a warm welcome to the biggest and best football show on the radio.
If you've only just joined us, where on earth have you been?
The goals are absolutely flying in.
And you could not have scripted this.
Well, I said the wheels were falling off. Wheels, the doors, the steering wheel, it's all come off.
What an absolute beauty.
That's okay, I've been called a lot worse.
Well, what about that?
It's just gorgeous football.
Describe to me what's just happened.
Kulusevski, it's a fantastic header.
What a goal.
Nobody has the answers.
It just had to be him.
A fairy tale return for Ivan Toney.
This is amazing on Football Live.
That's why we love Football Live, because it has been a pulsating afternoon on Football Live.
Absolutely sensational.
Visit the official Football Live website and find out more about the show and the people behind Football Live. Visit www.footballliveshow.uk and follow us on X at FootBLiveShow. Live and exclusive to Brila FM. You are tuned in to Football Live.
Hello and a very good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon everybody.
Absolute screamer.
Banging form into dreamland.
Oh my God, they were crying.
What was he doing in the box?
Check my phone, mate, he's not in there.
He looks thoroughly disgusted.
They've been absolutely brilliant. That's proper.
So much to tell you about.
So much going on.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
In the Premier League, you just never know.
You are listening to Football Live.
So we've got so much coming up on Football Live. We are covering everything in England, in Germany, in Italy, in Spain, in Saudi Arabia, in Nigeria. You name it, we've got it covered here on Football Live.
Our fantastic team of reporters will be bringing you all the goals as they go in the biggest games across the footballing world.
We love a bit of drama here on Football Live, and we've plenty of it this afternoon.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
You are listening to Football Live.
Join round the corner where the big boys play.
Let's get back to the big match action.
You are listening live to Football Live.
Here is your host, Barry Swain.
Yes, welcome back to Football Live, where in the first hour of the show we've brought you goals from some of the very best strikers around the Premier League and indeed around the world at the moment. We've had a goal from Alexander Isak, we've had a goal from Erling Haaland, John Duran of Aston Villa has scored as well, Brian Mbeumo, Johan Wissa. I think it's only right that we add to that list a certain Robert Lewandowski. That's right, Barcelona are ahead just before half-time in our featured game in La Liga this afternoon. Let's hear all about that goal. Here's Richard Freckleton.
Yes, Barry, it's Real Betis 0, Barcelona 1, and a moment of true quality from Barcelona. You can't keep a good team down, can you? Lovely play between Pedri and Koundé, the right back. And he put in a beautiful ball into the 6-yard box, and who better to put it away but Robert Lewandowski to make it 1-0. So we're coming up to half-time, and it's Real Betis 0, Barcelona 1.
A goal from Robert Lewandowski, an assist from, in my opinion, one of the best left-backs in the world, Jules Koundé, with a great ball in. I think he's a fantastic player. And Barcelona leading by a goal to nil in La Liga. In the Bundesliga, Leipzig are on their way to a victory. They are leading now by 2 goals to nil away at Holstein Kiel. About 20 minutes to go in that game. Valente Silva has scored from the penalty spot for Leipzig, and Tietz has scored on the hour mark to equalise for Augsburg in the game away at Frankfurt. They're off and underway. We're in the first minute of the Super League in Turkey. Besiktas 0, Fenerbahce 0. We'll keep a close eye on that one. Fenerbahce will go top if they can win that away game in Istanbul in the derby. So big game of that one this afternoon as well. And I can tell you that Lobby Stars have lost 1-0 at Nasawara, who have gone from bottom to mid-table in the blink of an eye with 3 points at home this afternoon in the MPFL. And there is a game coming up in a short while in the MPFL. Kicks off very shortly. It is Sunshine Stars against Shooting Stars. And that game is, of course, being played at the Remo Stars Stadium, 15th against 7th, but Shooting Stars would go third with an away win this afternoon. We'll try and keep a close eye on that one as well. Just looking at the monitor in front of me here, Bayern Munich are in action this afternoon, still 2-1 up on Heidenheim, lots of possession, quite a few chances. They are leading, Musiala with the second goal, but Heidenheim have made it difficult for them, still keeping a lot of the ball, still the champions elect, you would say, in many people's eyes. Bayern Munich leading, but maybe the likes of Leipzig, Frankfurt and a few others might have something to say about that. But Frankfurt potentially dropping points at home this afternoon. Aston Villa against Southampton is underway in the second half. Teams coming out of Brentford against Newcastle and Crystal Palace against Manchester City. So we'll be around the Premier League grounds very, very shortly. We'll catch up with a half-time report in due course. Real Betis 0. Barcelona 1, Robert Lewandowski with a goal just before half-time. They're in first half stoppage time in that game. There are, around about, I'm just having a little look here, 77 on the clock, about 13 minutes to go at the Allianz Arena, and it's still Bayern Munich 2-1 ahead against Heidenheim. Okay, let's get across to Richard Bond. He's watching the game between Aston Villa and Southampton. And Richard, some changes at half-time for the Saints.
Yeah, Saints made a change. It's a positive one for them. They brought on Nigerian Joe Aribo for the second half now, so they'll be looking to probably play a bit more forward. They didn't have a single shot in that first half period, and Aribo already himself has looked as if he's going to add a bit more physicality. As he been blown up for a foul against him, but still it's more positive action than they've had in the first. It's Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0 with 2 minutes in the second half.
In the French Ligue 1, Monaco against Toulouse, something like a local derby that, and it's a French Ligue 1 top flight match between two sides in the south of France. There are about 300 kilometres between them. It's not really a local derby as such, but it's an all-French affair in the south of France, and it's Monaco 0, Toulouse 3 at the Stade Louis II. About 3 minutes gone there. Big game that, because Paris Saint-Germain dropping points in their last 2 matches, so therefore that one is big for Monaco, because if they can win that today, they go within 5 points. And the half-time whistle has blown in the game between Real Betis and Barcelona. We'll be across to Richard Freckleton very shortly for a half-time report on that one. But Barcelona do lead by a goal to nil at half-time. Genoa against Torino is finished in Serie A in Italy. No goals in that one. Just as well we didn't cover it. Genoa 0, Torino 0 is a full-time score in that. They are off and underway in all 3 games in the Premier League. We'll be around those grounds in just a few moments. First of all, let's head for La Liga and a half-time report from Richard Freckleton in the game between Betis and Barca.
Yes, half-time, it's Real Betis 0, Barcelona 1. And Real Betis, they'll be regretting not capitalising on the fantastic start they had, where there was a goal line clearance from Rafinha from Llorente in the first, 5 minutes. And then, not too long after that, clean through Azuli of Morocco, but he wasn't able to put away his chance where in goal Pina made a very good save. And then one moment of true quality from Barcelona paid off. They're coming down on the right-hand side where Kundi put in a lovely cross to Lewandowski, and he slotted away without any problems at all to make it 1-0. To be honest, they haven't really played at their best, but all that counts is the 3 points, because if they win today, they'll go 7 points clear at the top of the Liga. But at half-time, it's Real Betis 0, Barcelona 1.
Thank you very much, Richard. And whilst he takes a rest, our 3 reporters in the Premier League will be with us in just a moment to give us a recap on the early stages of the second half. Chelsea in action tomorrow. Trip to Tottenham Hotspur, one of 2 local derbies taking place tomorrow, and a big day of Premier League football. Here's Enzo Maresca, the Chelsea manager, on utilising his big squad in the past week or 2.
Since we start, we try to share minutes and to change players. We did exactly the same thing against Southampton. For sure, when you change 7 in Premier League, it can be a big number, but they all deserve minutes. And the good thing is that no matter how many players we change, you can see the identity of the team and the team doing the right things. So this is the best thing.
So that was the Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca. Seems quite happy to be able to use as many players as possible. The French striker Dan Lundulu has scored his 3rd league goal of the season, 2 in his last 4, in fact, for Cambridge United, who lead Shrewsbury by 3 goals to 0. And that's just going into half-time in that game in League 1. So in England, Ligue 1 in France, still 0-0 between Monaco and Toulouse. In the early stages, Besiktas against Fenerbahce. A pretty heated one, that one, but it's 0-0 at the moment. Still Bayern Munich leading with around about 7 minutes to go in the Bundesliga match, so I'm keeping a close eye on here in the studio. Still all Bayern Munich keeping possession and making the visitors Heidenheim sweat for the ball, and when they get it, they don't get a lot of opportunity to get forward and make the most of their chances to get back in the game. Let's get around those games in the Premier League. 3 of them this afternoon. We're not lacking in goals. We're not lacking in entertainment. Paul James especially. He's had 4 goals already in the first half between Brentford and Newcastle. Shared out evenly. 2-2 at half-time. Paul James, any sign of any more goals in the second half?
Well, Brentford have started very well. They'll be looking to regain the lead and hopefully defend it this time. But this game is really up for grabs. Both teams are creating opportunities, and it's very hard to call. But I've got a funny feeling the goals aren't done here, Barry. It's 2-2. We've just got the second half underway, about 3 minutes gone.
Excellent, thank you very much. Let's get across, shall we, to Selhurst Park. Billy Andrews is watching the champions, Manchester City, struggling to get their noses in front against Crystal Palace. How's the second half started in that one, Billy?
Completely different to the first half. City playing like champions in the start of the second half. Palace seeing very little of the ball. They've been pushed all the way back. Most of their players, if not all apart from Jean-Philippe Mateta, are back in their defensive third. Kevin De Bruyne is pulling some strings. They've won a few corners, a few throw-ins up by the corner flag. They're pushing and pushing and pushing. Pep Guardiola will want an immediate response in this second half. He'll want to start scoring goals. 1-1, 9 minutes gone.
Let's get to Richard Brond. He's at Villa Park. Aston Villa ahead against Southampton. Southampton have made a change. How's things started in that second half, Richard?
Yeah, so a lot better from Southampton. Looking quite positive. They must have said something at half-time to get a response out of them. Looking to play a bit more on the front foot. Have we seen Flynn Downs trying to have the ball in midfield, trying to look for more forward-thinking passes? Seen Tyler Dibden trying to get in behind Konza. Have no luck so much so far. They forced one or two corners in this early stages of the second half, but really the striker Cameron Archer, they need to get balls closer to him. He's not really been very effective in this match so far. So scores remain the same. Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0, 53 minutes gone.
And I can tell you that Bayern Munich have just got a third goal in the Bundesliga. And it's all done and dusted. It's all game over now. A third goal for the home side settles things. It's Goretzka. Second goal this afternoon from a Bayern Munich sub, and Leon Goretzka driving it from 25 yards. Goalkeeper didn't see it until late, and by the time he got down, the ball was behind him and nestling in the back of the net. It's Bayern Munich 3, Heidenheim 1. Bayern Munich will be staying at the top of the tree, and not only that, they'll be staying well clear at the top of the Bundesliga this afternoon. There's also been a goal in the game between Besiktas and Fenerbahce. In the Turkish Super League. It's gone to Fenerbahce. They will go top with a win today. However, it has been disallowed. So, right, let's just bring you another score in the Championship. QPR leading Norwich by 3-0 now. And looking as if they're on their way to 3 much needed points down at the wrong end of the table. Bayer Leverkusen 2, St Pauli 1. St Pauli with a late comeback there, maybe. A goal 8 minutes from time. Let's get back, shall we, to the... Where was I going to go? I got lost by all those goals. I know where I was going to go. I was going to go to West London, to Brentford and to Paul James, who can tell us not about a goal, but the next best thing. It's Brentford hitting the post. Paul.
Yes, very strange situation actually. Johan Visser was part of a 4-on-3 break for Brentford. He cut into the penalty area, struck the shot. It was actually Nick Pope who made a super save. He just managed to touch it onto the post. Newcastle lucky to get away with that. They were caught out, but it's still 2-2. We've had 5 minutes gone in the second half.
Another goal in the game that I'm watching here in the Bundesliga. They've fired back here of Heidenheim. It's back to 3-2. Sloppy defending from Bayern, and it's just popped into the net from the edge of the penalty area. And I think it was Traore that shot. Now, there was a couple of players that potentially could have been offside, and Heidenheim are trying to get the ball back out of the net, back to the halfway line. Kimmich has got hold of it and he's pushing everyone away, saying, no, I'm not giving the ball to anyone. I'm going to take my time over this one. And it was Dorsch that actually shot. It was Traore that may have been offside. Anyway, the referee's having a long, hard look. They are having a look. But at the moment, it's Bayern Munich 3, Heidenheim 2. But I wouldn't be surprised if this one is chalked off and it goes back to 3-1. I'll keep you informed. Right, where are we going to go now? Let's go to Billy Andrews and Crystal Palace against Newcastle United at Selhurst Park, and a chance for Crystal Palace, Billy.
Yeah, more of a half chance than anything really clear cut. But City almost in autopilot, get a bit sloppy at the back, and the ball's picked up by Tyreek Mitchell. It plays across, it floats towards Jean-Philippe Mateta, goes over him, falls to Ebere Eze, and it's just smothered away by Carl Walker. City then now back in control with Bernardo Silva on the ball. Guardiola, they're sort of everyone's playing higher up. They're just leaving Guardiola and Ruben Dias in their own half when they really do attack. 53 minutes gone, still 1-1. So they don't have anything clear cut in the second half.
It's another goal from the teenager for QPR. Colley making it 3-0, his second of the afternoon. Cambridge United running rampant. Kashunga with a fourth against Shrewsbury Town this afternoon at the Abbey Stadium. And Aberdeen are back through Clarkson. Not the Clarkson, but Aberdeen 1, St Johnstone 1, Clarkson with the equaliser just before the hour mark. It is a goal. Heidenheim's goal does count. There were two players offside. One was well wide of the goal. One was running past the near post, but the ball went to the far post, so there was no way that he was in the way of the goalkeeper's line of sight. And so the goal stands, and it is Bayern Munich 3, Heidenheim 2. Around about 2.5 minutes plus injury time to go. Heidenheim on the attack at the moment, sensing an unlikely point at the Allianz. We'll keep a close eye on that. Let's get around the games in the Premier League, and a chance Paul James at the G-Tech for Newcastle United.
Yes, it's just end-to-end stuff here, and Harvey Barnes, who has just tormented Brentford all afternoon, a curling shot just away past Nick Pope, and it was just away from Mark Flecken, rather, and it was just wide of the Brentford goal, but still 2-2.
Okay, 2-2 in that game. There has been a goal at Selhurst Park. And not to be outdone, there has also been a goal, would you believe? We just left it. The G-Tech. So we just heard from Paul. As soon as he passed back to us, the ball was in the net, and I can tell you it's Brentford 3, Newcastle United 2. But what about this at scoreline at Selhurst Park? Crystal Palace 2, Manchester City 1. So Palace have scored and Brentford have scored, and it's all happening in the Premier League this afternoon. 2 big goals in 2 of our 3 featured matches in the Premier League. It's Collins for Brentford. Let's get across, shall we, to Billy Andrews, who can tell us all about this staggering goal for Crystal Palace.
Well, it's a goal from the former Wolfsburg defender Maxence Lacroix. It's a fantastic header. Rose tallish from a Will Hughes corner. The first real moment of any quality in the second half for Crystal Palace. It was Will Hughes who won the corner with a shot from range. A fantastic ball into Lacroix. He's being marked by Carl Walker, just bullies him, doesn't jump with him. Lacroix rises highest. It's past Ortega before he even knows what's hit him. And after 57 minutes, it's Crystal Palace 2, Manchester City 1.
Lacroix with the goal, and well, would you believe it? Crystal Palace leading by 2-1 against Manchester City. Half an hour still to go. There's still plenty of time. There's not a lot of time left in the Bundesliga matches this afternoon. Bayern Munich being made to sweat at the moment. They've just held up the board. 3 minutes of added time as Heidenheim go in search of an equaliser, but Bayern Munich are now breaking down the other end. We'll keep a close eye on that. Let's get to Paul James, shall we, who can tell us about that 3rd goal for Brentford.
Yes, actually, really, it was a wonderful finish by Nathan Collins. The ball was played long. It was Route 1 football, and it just bounced into the penalty area. The Newcastle defence allowing the ball to bounce, and it was just poked in by Nathan Collins. And now Brentford take the lead for the 3rd time in this game. If they can hold on for the next 34 minutes, it'll be their first victory over Newcastle since 1948.
Told you about Bayern Munich breaking away against Heidenheim. Well, that breakaway a few seconds later resulted in a 2nd goal of the afternoon for Musiala on as a sub. 2 second half goals. Bayern Munich 4, Heidenheim 2. Game over in the Bundesliga, and the table toppers are going to claim another 3 points with another 4 goals, and it looks like a very good afternoon for them. Okay, right. Let's just bring you bang up to date with where we are in our featured games this afternoon. Nasawara have beaten Lobby Stars 1-0 in the MPFL. That means that Nasawara, who were bottom, have risen up towards mid-table, up 6 places with that win today. In the Bundesliga, our featured game is Bayern Munich against Heidenheim. Plenty of goals, 6 of them in total. I've been watching it, good game, and Bayern Munich have got 4 of them. Even without Harry Kane this afternoon, they've got 4 goals, and it's 4-2 there, and they will stay top of the tree. But Leipzig are winning 2-0 at Holstein Kiel. That's into stoppage time as well. And Bayer Leverkusen, the champions, 2-1 up on St. Pauli. Been made to sweat a little bit there, but they should be okay. Millwall 0, Coventry 1. Remember, Frank Lampard is the new manager of Coventry City. Returns to London today. His side have taken the lead away at Millwall. 1-0. Let's get to Richard Bond. He's at Villa Park. Aston Villa with a chance to extend their lead, Richard.
Yeah, they've made a few changes, Villa, and one of the changes, Ollie Watkins, who's come on for John Duran, has just had a good opportunity, slid through from Morgan Rogers, who's been the best player on the pitch by a country mile this afternoon on that left-hand side. He's just had a shot. It's just slightly deflected into the side net, and good opportunity from the following corner. Ball comes in, and we've seen then one of the centre-halves, Torres, who's just headed just over the bar. Other players come on for Villa. They've also brought on Dina, and Liam Bailey's gone off for Phalange after he's pulled a hamstring. So we're 1 to the good for Aston Villa. Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0 with 62 minutes gone.
Of course, the FA Cup draw was taken this week. If you haven't heard, Arsenal, who have won it the most times, the team that are just one behind them with the most wins in the FA Cup are Manchester United. Of course, they are drawn together in the third round of the FA Cup at the Emirates in January. They played in midweek as well, of course, Arsenal winning 2-0. Some tasty ties as well. Accrington have a plum tie away at Liverpool. Tamworth, one of the two remaining non-league sides, are at home against Tottenham Hotspur. That should be quite some game. Talking of Tamworth, one player that was born in Tamworth was Joe Newell. He's not having such a good afternoon today because he's just scored an own goal. He plays for Hibs, he scored for Celtic, an own goal, Celtic 2, Hibs 0. Looks like Celtic are going to pick up yet another win. Still Monaco 0, Toulouse 0. Leipzig have won away at Holstein Kiel. And Besiktas Fenerbahce remains 0-0 as well. It's a busy afternoon in the Premier League. Let's get around those games again. We'll start with the game between Brentford and Newcastle United. Paul James is watching this. Just the 5 goals so far. I don't want to ask the question I always ask, does it look like there's going to be more goals? Because I suspect there probably will. But is there any chance of a Newcastle comeback, or can Brentford extend their lead?
Well, Brentford are looking more likely that they're going to extend their lead. Johan Visser with the shot, forcing a decent save from Nick Pope from the edge of the area. Brentford, since the goal, have dominated possession as well. Newcastle are going to have to try to find a way back into this game, and I suspect the goals are not finished with. But this has been an absolute classic, and with the on the hour mark, it's still 3-2 to Brentford.
Yeah, Johan Visser, what a season he's having, the Congolese international, in amongst the goals again this afternoon. Swindon down near the bottom of League 2, being threatened with relegation from the Football League. But Ian Holloway is their manager, former Premier League manager, and they are leading Fleetwood 3-0 this afternoon. All 3 goals coming from Smith, and they are on their way to 3 valuable points. Let's get to Selhurst Park. Manchester City, the champions, are behind, and the clock is ticking for them this afternoon. Billy Andrews.
Yeah, just under half an hour to go at Selhurst Park, and it's a bit of a shell shock for Manchester City to go behind again against Crystal Palace. They were in control at the start of this second half, and it was one long shot from Will Hughes that led to a corner. It was Carl Walker, really being out-muscled and out-jumped by his man. He didn't even bother to jump against Maxence Lacroix. Again, Jeremy Doku's warming up. Jack Grealish is out there warming up as well. They're the only 2 real players that can have an effect, you think. They've got a load of youngsters on the bench, Man City, this afternoon, but Palace are holding firm. Lacroix and Gay doing a fantastic job against Erling Haaland. They've doubled up on him at times when they've needed to, showing great strength against the big Norwegian. 63 minutes gone, Crystal Palace 2, Man City 1.
Thank you very much. I can tell you the final whistle has gone in the game at the Allianz Arena. It's finished Bayern Munich 4, Heidenheim 2 in the Bundesliga match that I'm watching right here. Now, tomorrow, it's Fulham against Arsenal, one of those 2 big London derbies. Mikel Arteta striving for perfection from Arsenal at the moment. Here's what he had to say.
Well, we want to be the kings of everything. On set pieces, the best in the world. High press, the best in the world. Attacking open spaces, the best in the world. Best atmosphere in the stadium, and the best. The best at everything. Before it was about we didn't score enough. We were soft defending. We didn't have mentality. We weren't physical enough. We could not challenge the top teams. 22 years, 17 years, 20 years without winning away from home in big matches. We want to be the best at everything. We want to have the best academy, the best individual development for players, the best of the best. Recruit the best players. Best coaches, that's the aim.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a very, very windy afternoon here in the UK.
Live and exclusive to Brila FM. You are tuned in to Football Live.
So we've got so much coming up on Football Live. We're covering everything in England, in Germany, in Italy, in Spain, in Saudi Arabia, in Nigeria. You name it, we've got it covered here on Football Live.
Our fantastic team of reporters will be bringing you all the goals as they go in the biggest games across the footballing world.
We love a bit of drama here on Football Live, and we've plenty of it this afternoon.
Visit the official Football Live website and find out more about the show and the people behind Football Live. Visit www.footballliveshow.uk and follow us on X at FootBLiveShow.
It's an absolute cracker. Fantastic.
Incredible, amazing, unbelievable,
sensational. Fantastic.
This is amazing on Football Live.
Don't forget to join us here on Brila FM for Football Live next Saturday afternoon from 4 o'clock. John Kane will be your presenter. Arsenal and Liverpool both in date match Premier League action. The Gunners entertaining Sean Dyche's Everton at the Emirates Stadium, whilst up at Anfield it's Fulham that are the visitors to the Premier League leaders. Newcastle are also in action. They're at home to Leicester. There's a big game at the bottom too. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Ipswich Town. Both sides desperate for victory. And Harry Kane's Bayern Munich, top of the Bundesliga, go to Borussia Mönchengladbach. That's next Saturday afternoon from 4 o'clock in the afternoon with John Kane on Football Live, right here, exclusive to Brila FM.
Paint the whole world with a rainbow.
Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas from everyone at Football Live.
Merry Christmas.
From the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
You are listening to Football Live.
Join round the corner where the big boys play.
You are listening live to Football Live.
Here is your host, Barry Swain.
Yes, welcome back. We've been bringing lots of goals to you this afternoon from the Premier League, and I think now is probably as good an opportunity as any to bring you yet another one. It's Crystal Palace 2, Manchester City 2, and for the second time this afternoon, City have found a way back into the game. An equaliser at Selhurst Park. Billy Andrews will bring us news of that in just a few moments' time. I can tell you there's a Nigerian on the score sheet in League 2. We mentioned this game earlier. Accrington Stanley go to Liverpool, Bromley go to Newcastle. Two teams with great cup draws in the third round of the FA Cup this week. Bromley are ahead by 2-1 thanks to a goal from Idris Ojoteo, who is a Nigerian, and he joined Bromley from Fulham, and he's a fullback, mainly in fullback positions, but can play down the wing, and he's going to score a second for Bromley this afternoon. Mason Clark with the goal for Coventry, Frank Lampard's side. Coventry City leading at Millwall by 1-0. Portsmouth, bottom of the Championship, 2-0 up now on Bristol City. And I can tell you, Jay Stansfield has just scored his fourth in 5 games, his 10th of the season. Birmingham City equalising just 2 minutes after going behind at Oakwell against Barnsley in League 1. Let's get across to Selhurst Park. Billy Andrews can tell us all about that equaliser for Manchester City.
Well, it all came from a drop ball situation. The ball hit Rob Jones. He gives the ball back to Gundogan. Comes back to the German midfielder. Kevin De Bruyne plays a wonderful pass into Bernardo Silva. One touch around the corner to Rico Lewis. And with Erling Haaland being doubled up on by Lacroix and Mark Gay, Rico Lewis is free as a bird. It's a fantastic finish into the top left-hand corner with his right foot. Past a scrambling Dean Henderson. Fantastic finish from the youngster. 69 minutes gone at Selhurst Park. It's Crystal Palace 2, Man City 2.
Well, 2 goals for Crystal Palace to take the lead there, but 2 for Manchester City as well, coming back 2-2. Brentford 3-2 up on Newcastle United. Not quite so many goals at Aston Villa against Southampton. Let's head to Villa Park, shall we? Richard Bond can bring us bang up to date. Still with their noses in front, Villa, but they could do with a second, really, couldn't they?
Yeah, second goal I think would kill this one off. Southampton are still fighting hard, but they're just lacking that little bit of quality. Aston Villa, the changes have freshened them up a little bit. And Morgan Rogers still looking the better of the player on the pitch, really creating from that left-hand side, which has been the most successful of the afternoon. It's been a bit disjointed in this second half, to be fair, as Villa just haven't really managed to get a hold of the game. But at the moment, they're coasting to the 3 points. Still 20 minutes to go, though. It's Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0.
Let's get across to Paul James. 5 goals so far between Brentford and Newcastle. Brentford are edging it, but Newcastle have come very close to an equaliser, Paul.
Oh yes, they picked up the ball on the edge of the box, and it was another curling effort, this time from the substitute, Anthony Gordon, and it just cleared the crossbar. But Newcastle coming close this time, but this game is still up for grabs. There's 23 minutes to go. It's Brentford 3, Newcastle 2.
Bayer Leverkusen have beaten St. Pauli 2-1. The champions winning again at home this afternoon. They were 2-0 up very early on. You thought they were going to get another bucket load of goals, but it wasn't to be. But they do take the points. Werder Bremen have won 1-0 away at struggling Bochum. Good win there for Werder to take all 3 points. Let's get across to our featured game in La Liga. It's the game between Real Betis and Barcelona. Barcelona leading courtesy of that first half goal just before half-time from Robert Lewandowski. But Altamira has just come close for the hosts Real Betis, Richard.
That's right, Barry. It remains Real Betis 0, Barcelona 1. It's almost a replica of the start of the first half. Real Betis have come out firing, and a beautiful free kick from the Chelsea into the box. And Altamira will be wondering how he didn't get his header on target. It went wide of the post and really should have buried that. So they've started a bit sloppy, I would say, defensively, Barcelona, but there's still plenty of time in the second half to get a result in this particular game. And I wouldn't give up yet on Real Betis, the home side. But so far it remains Real Betis 0, Barcelona 1.
In the Championship, bottom of the table, Portsmouth are now 3-0 up on Bristol City down at Fratton Park. I bet it's windy down there today. The wind swirling around the UK. Storm, what was it called? Storm, I forgot what it's called, but the storm that's bringing us 90-mile-an-hour winds, especially in Wales. Quite a few games called off. I mentioned as well that the lunchtime kick-off today, Everton against Liverpool in a Merseyside derby, was postponed due to those heavy winds. And so, thank you very much, Paul James. It was Storm Darragh. I knew it began with a D, just my brain froze on it. Storm Darragh certainly sweeping the country at the moment. Frankfurt 2, Augsburg 2 were 2 late goals in that game, but it ended all square. And Frankfurt won every game in November, but not quite such a fruitful December so far, dropping points at home this afternoon against Augsburg. Right, still 0-0 between Monaco and Toulouse in France. Still 0-0 between Besiktas and Fenerbahce in the game in Turkey. Big game, that one as well. Let's get across to Paul James and a chance for Brentford at the G-Tech, Paul.
Yes, Brentford come very close to putting this game to bed, I think. Johan Vista skipped into the penalty area, struck a shot to the left-hand side of the goal, and Nick Pope scrambling across to make the save. Another warning shot, another chance for Brentford. There's 20 minutes to go. It's Brentford 3, Newcastle 2.
Brentford 7 shots in that game, 5 on target. Newcastle 12 shots in that game, but just the 2 on target. You need to shoot on target to win games, I think it's fair to say. In that game, Brentford have been more clinical with their shots on target, even though there's been fewer shots overall. Let's head to Billy Andrews. He's at Selhurst Park this afternoon, where Crystal Palace and Manchester City are 2 apiece. Substitution for Crystal Palace, and a yellow card for one of the goal scorers, Billy.
Yeah, Rico Lewis was shown a yellow card by Rob Jones for a pretty robust challenge. Had a bit of afters with Rob Jones afterwards. Looked like he was going to square up to him at one point, but the height difference is about a foot between them, Rob Jones and Rico Lewis. It did look a little bit funny, but Oliver Glasner's rolled the dice first for substitutions and opted to take off, in my opinion, Palace's best and most creative player, Abir Eze, to bring on Justin Devenny to replace him. So, interesting to see how that one works at full time. If it stays 2-2, you probably think, okay, but if City go on to lose this game and Palace don't create anything else, a little bit of a mistake from the Palace manager as De Bruyne has the shot deflected wide of the goal corner to City. 73 minutes gone. Palace 2, Man City 2.
In the Eredivisie in the Netherlands, it's just starting off in the second half. Go Ahead Eagles 4-0 up on NSA Nijmegen. A first half hat-trick for the Norwegian Victor Edvardsen, who has scored 3 goals. He is, in fact, not Norwegian, he's actually Swedish. And he's got 1 Swedish cap to his name. And the former Gothenburg and Djurgårdens player has scored 3 this afternoon, doing his tally for the season. No harm at all in that one. Right, let's get around those grounds, shall we? Let's go to Villa Park. A little bit of a starvation of goals there. Well, it's Richard Bond, who usually does 0-0 draws for us, but not this afternoon. He's got 1 goal. Aston Villa leading by a goal to 0. Rich, can you find us another goal? Is there going to be another goal in this game?
Well, Southampton are trying. They brought on exciting youngster Amu Amanye. I think I got that right. Who's really made an instant impact, really, as such. He's been driving on that right-hand side since he's come on. He replaced Adam Armstrong. Tried to feed the ball into the box, looking for Archer. Couldn't quite reach him, and the keeper's grabbed it. But that's the best Southampton have had through the match so far. 30 minutes to go. It's still Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0.
Thank you very much, Rich. Let's get to West London, shall we? Brentford against Newcastle United. And, well, this one is up for grabs. Plenty of chances in this game. Can't help but feel there's another twist to the tale. And if there is, then there's only one man that can tell you all about it, and that's Paul James.
Yes, well, there's just been some substitutions made all round, actually. Brentford have just made a double substitution. Newcastle have made a double substitution. Sean Longstaff and Harvey Barnes have made way for Callum Wilson and the other substitute, Miguel Almiron. Brentford also making a double substitution. Fabio Carvalho and Thiago have come off in replacement of Mikael Damsgaard and Kevin Schade. It is still 3-2. There's 17 minutes to go. A half chance for Brentford. And Buemo got the shot away from the edge of the area, but it cleared the crossbar by quite some distance. But Newcastle still struggling to create chances right now. 16 minutes to go. 3-2.
Let's get across to Spain, shall we? La Liga, Betis 0, Barcelona 1. They're not having it all their own way, Barcelona, Richard Freckleton.
No, they're certainly not, Barry. My goodness. I'll tell you what, Ezal Zuli, he won't be sleeping well tonight to me if they go on and lose this game. Another gilt-edged chance. Beautiful cross from a set piece from Lo Celso into the box. And the big man, 6 foot plus, couldn't keep his head down when really he should have scored. It was a great chance, but it still remains Real Betis 0, Barcelona 1.
Swansea City have equalised away at Luton Town at Kenilworth Road. A goal has been scored by Matt Grimes, his second goal of the season, his first since August, his 10th goal for Swansea City in what is now nearly 300 appearances. The holding midfielder doesn't score many, but he scored an important one today. They've equalised at Kenilworth Road, Luton 1, Swansea City 1. Let's get back to Selhurst Park, a little bit of afters involving the players on the pitch. To tell us more about this one, it's Billy Andrews.
Yeah, Man City really not happy with Will Hughes. He runs into the back of Ruben Diaz and then goes down clutching his head. And while City are on the attack, Rob Jones stops play to check on a potential head injury, in inverted commas, for Will Hughes. Diaz had a few choice words for the Palace midfielder. And another substitution for Palace, Ismail Assar, gone off. He's been replaced by England under-21 all-time leading goal scorer, Eddie Nketiah, former Arsenal striker, of course. Can he find a goal, a winning goal at the moment for Crystal Palace? 78 minutes gone. Crystal Palace 2, Man City 2.
Excellent, thank you very much, Billy. From Manchester City to Manchester United. They're playing in the late kick-off today against Nottingham Forest at Old Trafford. And we've got some team news for you as well. Onana in goal for Manchester United, who go with De Ligt, Martinez and Bruno Fernandes skippering the side. Højlund will lead the line. Yoro, Ahmad, Garnacho, Dalot, Ugart and Mainu back today for Manchester United. Rashford on the bench, Xerxes on the bench, where you'll also find Casemiro, Eriksson, Mazraoui, Bayinda, Maguire, Malacia and Mazraoui. And did I say Mason Mount? Mason Mount. I think I said Mazraoui twice. Skipping around, didn't do it in any order, so I was always going to make a mistake there. Dundee United 1, Kilmarnock 0 in the SPFL. Late goal there for Dalby, giving them the lead. Let's go through the Nottingham Forest lineup for you this afternoon. Sells in goal, Morello, Nico Williams starting again, Anderson in midfield, a former Newcastle man, Gibbs, White, Wood, who's been scoring prolifically this season, Hudson-Odoi, formerly of Chelsea, Jota, Yates the captain, Milenkovic and Aina. That's an unchanged side from the side that beat Ipswich 7 days ago, but lost in midweek against Manchester City. They reverted back to the same side that beat Ipswich last week. Amongst the substitutes, Ward-Prowse, Awonyi is on the bench as well. Alanga is on the bench too. He's missed a couple of games through injury and illness. And Morato is also benched on the Nottingham Forest team sheet this afternoon. So that brings you up to date with all the team news for the late kick-off. Let's head back, shall we, to Selhurst Park and a substitution for Manchester City, Billy.
Yeah, probably one of the only two players that can make a real impact off the bench for Man City. Jeremy Doku has come on to this left-hand side to replace Mateus Nunes. Did, of course, get the assist for Haaland's goal, the first equaliser. Again, they really are struggling to break this Palace side down. They've gone back to the sideways passes, the backwards passes. They're missing that clinical ball forward like we have seen in the second half, the first half of the second half before they got pinned back again. Who knows? It could go any way this game with 10 minutes to go plus added time. It's all in the balance at Selhurst Park. It's 2-2.
Thank you very much, Billy. There is VAR looking at a penalty in the game between Betis and Barcelona, I understand. I don't know which end. I'm just trying to find out which end from producer John, but they're having a really long old look. Barcelona leading that one. It's a real Betis penalty shout. It seems that the VAR are having a long look, so this is going to be a tight one for the referee to call on that one. Just a little bit of breaking news coming in. West Ham striker Mikel Antonio has reportedly been involved in a road traffic accident. We haven't got any more details of that at the moment. Just trying to find out some more on that, the severity of it. Hopefully he's okay. Fingers crossed everything is okay. That everything is okay. If we can bring you any more news on that one, we'll obviously let you know. But that's just breaking news there that Mikel Antonio has been involved in a road traffic accident, and fingers crossed everything is all okay with him. West Ham United, of course, not in action today. They're back in action tomorrow against Wolverhampton Wanderers, a game between two sides that are not having very pleasant form at the moment. That's a game that both teams really need to win. Right, let's get around those grounds, shall we? Richard Bond is watching Aston Villa against Southampton. A chance for Aston Villa to wrap it up once and for all, Richard.
Yeah, good chance. John McGinn, this time he's picked the ball up on the left-hand side, after interchanging some passes with Morgan Rogers. Whipped it in, trying to find Ollie Watkins. He comes in late to the back post, connects half decent, and it goes flying across the face of goal. The keeper's beaten. If it goes on target, it's in, it's wrapped up. It didn't. So we're still at 1-0, and anything can still happen. 6 minutes to play. I'm sure there's something more in this one. Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0.
I can tell you that VAR have given the penalty to Real Betis in our featured game in Spain. So Real Betis have a penalty in that game midway through the second half. Big moment in the game. 11th goal of the season for Jay Stansfield. Former Fulham man has scored again, and it's Birmingham that lead 2-1 at Barnsley. And there's been a goal from the penalty spot in the game that we just mentioned. It's an equaliser for Real Betis. It's 1-1, and we'll be across to Richard Freckleton in just a moment to hear about that equalising goal for Real Betis. Club statement from West Ham United. West Ham United can confirm striker Mikel Antonio has today been involved in a road traffic accident. The thoughts and prayers of everyone at the club are with Mikel, his family and friends at this time. The club will issue an update in due course. So we know no more than that at the moment, but that is an official statement from West Ham United Football Club this afternoon. And we'll try and keep you up to date with that as and when it comes in. Right, of course, very, very treacherous stormy conditions as well in the UK at the moment. And right, plenty going on. Let's quickly get to Spain, shall we? Richard Freckleton, an equalising goal for Real Betis.
Yes, it's Real Betis 1, Barcelona 1. It's no more than they deserved. And the best player for Real Betis, in my view, is the former Tottenham Hotspur man, Lo Celso. He's been integral in everything they've done in the second half as well as the first. And, it was a long delay for what was a clear shove, in my view, on Roque. And up stepped Lo Celso, and he calmly put it away past Pina to make it 1-1. So with 57 minutes on the clock, it's Real Betis 1, Barcelona 1.
We've had goals here, there and everywhere in the Premier League this afternoon. What we haven't had is a red card. Well, we have now. And Billy Andrews is down at Selhurst Park, who can tell us about the first Premier League red card of the afternoon, Billy.
And it's Manchester City's goal scorer, Rico Lewis. I'm not entirely sure this is a second yellow. VAR obviously can't get involved because it's a second yellow. So he loses the ball to Trevor. It is Nathaniel Chalobah. He loses the ball to Nathaniel Chalobah. And then they both go to slide the ball away. He gets there first, and Chalobah's boot goes on top of Rico Lewis. Rico Lewis, I think, in my opinion, is very unlucky to get a second yellow from Rob Jones there. It was a robust challenge for the first one. No complaints with that. But with VAR not being able to get involved with second yellows at this stage of the Premier League, Man City have to play the last 6 minutes plus added time with 10 men. And that's a defender off the pitch as well. So Jack Grealish is going to come on for Manchester City. I'll let you know who he replaces in a sec. Guardiola, first time this afternoon, out of his seat. He's not happy at all. Crystal Palace 2, Man City 2. It's 11v10 at Selhurst Park. Rico Lewis has been sent off.
We're into the last 5 minutes of the 3 matches in the Premier League this afternoon. Let's get around those grounds. Brentford against Newcastle. It's been a while since we've had a goal there, Paul James.
Yes, I know, it's been altogether too long. But Brentford have had a chance. Johan Visser got into the penalty area and he had a glorious opportunity just to strike the ball, but instead he pulled the ball back and tried to find Brian Mbeumo, but that was intercepted by the Newcastle defence. Newcastle have had the last roll of their dice in terms of substitutes. Kieran Trippier has been brought on for Lewis Hall. It is still 3-2 and there's 6 minutes for Brentford to hang on.
Okay, let's get around those grounds, shall we? By the way, Go Ahead Eagles now 5-0 up on NAC Nijmegen in the Eredivisie in the Netherlands. Let's get to Aston Villa against Southampton. And watching this one for us is, of course, Richard Bond. Holding on, aren't they, a little bit at the moment, Aston Villa?
Aston Villa, Southampton holding on. Villa really should have put this game to bed. Absolutely massive chance. Ollie Watkins set free on that left-hand side. He's flown down the wing down there. He's looking for Ross Barkley to try and put him in the box. He did it a little bit. Defender just gets back, puts Barkley offside. He's just prodded it towards goal. 6 yards out. It's gone wide. Oh, unbelievable stuff. If Southampton gets something from this game, it would be down to Villa's poor finishing. Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0 with a minute to play normal time.
Excellent. Let's get across to Billy Andrews, who's watching Crystal Palace against Manchester City. If Manchester City are to take all 3 points, they're going to have to do it with 10 men. But it doesn't look like we've seen this second yellow. It's a bit harsh on Manchester City, to say the least, isn't it, Billy?
It is harsh on Man City. It's harsh on Rico Lewis, the young man. He got his goal. First yellow card, I said he could have no complaints about. The second one, I think Rob Jones has got that wrong. And I think VAR should be able to get involved in second yellows into red cards, but they've taken Kevin De Bruyne off and replaced him with Jack Grealish. So Palace without their most creative player, City without their most creative player, but most importantly, Palace with the extra man, and the energy levels have just risen inside Selhurst Park. The crowd are up, the players are up. They've just had a corner that was cleared by Stefan Ortega, so anything could happen in the last 3 minutes plus added time. It's Crystal Palace 2, City 2, all to play for at Selhurst.
Furuhashi has scored a third for Celtic. They're now 3-0 up on Hibernian. We've got 5 minutes of injury time at Villa Park. And just to bring you bang up to date, Betis are 10 minutes, about 15 minutes away from taking a point off of Barcelona. Let's get across to Spain, shall we? Real Betis 1, Barcelona 1. Richard Freckleton's watching this one for us. A game that Barcelona really need to win, Richard. And are they going the right way around it?
They certainly aren't, I would say, Barry. My goodness. I mean, I expected them to step up a gear in the second half, and it's been mostly Real Betis on top. They thoroughly deserved that equaliser, I have to say, although, you know, they had some gilt edge misses, and sometimes you can pay for that, and they still may. But it's anyone's game between Real Betis and Barcelona. But it's hard to see where the goals are going to come from, because at the end of the day, Barcelona are not really putting anything together so far. And the better of the two teams in the second half has been Real Betis. But so far, it's 1-1 between Betis and Barcelona.
Let's get across to Paul James, who's watching Brentford against Newcastle United. Brentford holding on for 3 points. They've just made a substitution, Paul.
Yeah, tactical substitution to try to close this game out. They've brought on former Burnley defender Ben Mee to try to help close this game out, and they've taken off Johan Visser. They have 3 minutes to hang on, but Newcastle are starting to press now. It's 3-2 to Brentford.
Yes, it's closing in towards full time. Let's get to Villa Park. Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0. Richard Bond. This, if they can hold on for Aston Villa, will be 6 points out of 6, and it does get their season back on track somewhat, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. If they can win today, as they look like they're going to do at the moment, they're coasting. But, you never know with time to go in stoppages. They'll be up to 5th place tonight, and that will leave them just 2 points behind Manchester City. And overall, looking at the table, it's still very finely placed from second down into those placings at the moment now. So Unai Emery will be very pleased with what he's seen. Perhaps not the performance today, but the points is all that's important there. But at the moment, though, we're 2 minutes more of stoppage time to go. Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0.
We had plenty of early goals in our show here on Football Live today. But what you can't beat in football is a late goal. And I can tell you that Brentford have got a 4th goal. It's 4-2 in the game between Brentford and Newcastle United. And it looks like it's going to be all 3 points for Brentford this afternoon. A 6th goal in that game. 4-2 to Brentford. And a goal from the man that got a hat-trick last week, Kevin Schade, with a goal coming on as a substitute and scoring a goal, it seems, there to make it 4-2. Okay, right. There's 4 minutes to go, by the way, in injury time in that game. Schade with the goal in the 90th minute to give Brentford the 3 points, I'm sure, now against Eddie Howe's men. Manchester City down to 10 men against Crystal Palace. Are into stoppage time there. It's 2-2. Aston Villa 4 minutes into stoppage time in that game, and there was only 5 added on, so they're very near the end of that. Aston Villa holding out for a 1-0 victory. It's another defeat for the Saints at the bottom of the table as well. So that looks like another fruitless afternoon for the Saints this afternoon in the Premier League. Remember, in the Bundesliga today, 6 goals in our game that I kept an eye on. Bayern Munich 4, Heidenheim 2. No Harry Kane this afternoon. They didn't need him. They got 2 through substitute Musiala and 1-4-2. Betis 1, Barcelona 1. There's around about 13 minutes to go in that game. It's a game that Barcelona really need to win to keep their noses in front in the title race. Let's get across, we won't go across just yet. We will get across to Paul James in a couple of minutes to hear about the goal for Brentford. 4-2 in that game now. And as I mentioned, Kevin Schade with the goal to make it 4-2. The final whistles are starting to blow up and down the country. Still going in the 3 Premier League matches. They've just got underway in the MPFL. About 11 minutes gone. Sunshine Stars and Shooting Stars currently 0-0 in that game. Both teams needing a win to push towards the top end of the MPFL. Let's get across to Billy Andrews at Selhurst Park. A chance for Crystal Palace, Billy.
Chance for Crystal Palace. It was a ball from Will Hughes up to Eddie Nketiah. He took the ball down and played it back to Justin Devaney. Shot was blocked out for a corner. Corner cleared. Free kick on the edge of the City box for Crystal Palace. I'll let you know how that one goes. No, it's a free kick for City, and it's Eddie Nketiah who's been booked for a foul on Jack Grealish. A minute and a half to go. Still 2-2.
Thank you very much for that, Billy. Let's get across to Paul James, who can tell us about the 4th Brentford goal.
Oh, yes, it was a very tidy goal. Brian Mbeumo picks up the ball midway inside the Newcastle half. He plays a beautiful slide rule pass to the German Kevin Schade, who just lifts it over Nick Pope to secure Brentford's first victory in the league against Newcastle for 76 years. It's 4-2 to Brentford. We've got 3 minutes of stoppage time left.
They haven't had too long to wait for that victory, have they? Brentford, 76 years. Well, it looks like it's going to come to an end today. Let's get to the game between Real Betis and Barcelona. Richard Freckleton, a big miss for Barca.
Yes, my word, what a magnificent run it was from the young teenage sensation at Yamal. He jinked past 3 players and laid it on for Torres to have a shot on goal, and really should have hit the target, but he missed from about 12 yards. Could that be the big difference in this game? The misses between both teams, but it still remains 1-1 between Real Betis and Barcelona.
Thank you very much. Right, the final whistle's blowing up and down the country, up and down Europe, and in the Premier League. It's a final whistle that has just blown at Selhurst Park. Let's get across to Billy Andrews, who can summarise what has been a very entertaining game between Crystal Palace and Manchester City.
Yeah, 2-2 at Selhurst Park. Fantastically fast start for Crystal Palace. After 4 minutes, Will Hughes played the ball out to Daniel Munoz to get a second Palace goal. Lovely, driven under Stefan Ortega. Hint of offside, but the green line was drawn. Ortega probably should have done a little bit better. Gundogan hit the post from distance, and Savinho couldn't put his shot on target from the follow-up after about 20 minutes. But after half an hour, ball in from the left from Matheus Nunes was met by Erling Haaland, who guided it into the top left-hand corner past Dean Henderson. And at the start of the second half, it was all Manchester City until after 56 minutes, a corner from the right-hand side by Will Hughes was met by Maxence Lacroix, who rose above Kyle Walker to head past Stefan Ortega. The German keeper didn't even move. 68 minutes gone. Rico Lewis equalised. A fantastic pass from Kevin De Bruyne into Bernardo Silva. A lovely flick from the Portuguese midfielder onto Rico Lewis. A lovely finish with his left foot into the top left-hand corner. Past Dean Henderson gave the keeper absolutely no chance. He got booked for a tackle on Jefferson Lerma shortly after that. And after 84 minutes, a tackle on Saliba was deemed a second yellow card by referee Rob Jones. I didn't personally think it was a second yellow card. Pep Guardiola didn't think it was a second yellow card, but he was sent off after 84 minutes. So they played the last few moments with 10 men. Dustin Devaney had a good chance after a layoff from Eddie Nketiah, but it was blocked, and the resulting corner led to nothing. Ortega then put the ball straight out of play from the resulting free kick. Pep Guardiola not happy at all. The points shared at Selhurst Park. It finished Palace 2, Man City 2.
And let's get across to the game between Aston Villa and Southampton. The points have gone the way of the home side. Another defeat for the Saints, who are bottom of the table. Here's Richard Bond.
Yeah, it's finished here. Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0 in a game which is a bit disjointed at times. Aston Villa had plenty of chance in the second half to wrap it up a bit further, but it's John Duran's fifth of the season that won the match in the first half, bearing home after a bit of a miscommunication in the back between the two Southampton centre halves after a ball over the top. He slotted home very nicely, and they could move on now up to fifth place in the table tonight. Only a couple of points behind Manchester City as they look to get another Champions League place in for next season. As for Southampton, rock bottom at the moment now. Questions be asked of Russell Martin what he'll have to do. They didn't even have a shot on target this afternoon. It's worrying times for Saints fans, who remain 8 points adrift at the bottom of Leicester, who are fourth and who are 17th place in the table tonight. Finished here at Villa Park. Aston Villa 1, Southampton 0.
Right, OK, so it's finished there. Villa 1, Southampton 0. It's finished Crystal Palace 2, 10-man Manchester City 2. Rico Lewis sent off after being the scorer of the second goal, after scoring the second goal for Manchester City. Barcelona have had the ball in the net, but VAR have ruled it out for offside. Let's quickly get to Paul James. The final whistle was blown in an exhilarating afternoon, and a win for Brentford.
A win for Brentford indeed. They're first in the league for 76 years over their Newcastle team today. Goals from Nathan Collins, Brian Mbeumo and Johan Visser, capped off by Kevin Schade injury time goal. Harvey Barnes and Alexander Isak in response for Newcastle. It could very well have been 5 when Nick Pope made a terrible error and gifted the ball to Brian Mbeumo, but his shot was cleared off the line by Dan Burns. But Brentford celebrating right now, and it's Brentford who take the points. It's 4-2 at the G-Tech Community Stadium.
Less than 30 seconds of the show to go, and another goal. It's Betis 1, Barcelona 2. I said that Barcelona's goal had been ruled out for offside. They were still actually looking at it. VAR had jumped the gun. The goal has been given. Richard Freckleton, if you can quickly tell us about it.
Yes, and it's down to Yamal. My goodness, a beautiful goal where he jinked again past two players on that wing. He stepped up a gear and they laid it on, and the goal was from Torres. And will this be the winner? We will have to wait and see. But it's Betis 1, Barcelona 2.
What a way to finish a show, and what a fabulous show it's been too. Goals aplenty in the Premier League. Brentford leading the way with a 4-2 win against Newcastle. Manchester City couldn't keep 11 players on the pitch but took a point from Crystal Palace in an eventful 2-2 draw. Aston Villa are back with a bang, 1-0 win against bottom club Southampton. Bayern Munich 4-2 winners over Heidenheim to stay top of the Bundesliga. And as you've just heard, Barcelona are leading late on through Ferran Torres, 2-1 up at Real Betis. What an afternoon it's been on Football Live. We'll do it all again next Saturday. John Kane will be your host. We'll be back here on Brila FM then. We look forward to your company in 7 days' time. Have a good week, everyone.
Thank you very much for joining us today on Football Live. We very much appreciate your company. We hope you can join us again next Saturday afternoon when we return right here on Football Live.